Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien in Bubba, sitting in for Paul Harvey today. Stand by for a special rest of the story. I'm pretty sure Mr. Harvey would have assumed this is a special rest of the story. But I hope that when you hear this story, it brings back some sense and light bulbs into your brains and takes away the watermelon, okay? So here it goes. Well, there was this young man walking through devastation. He saw city after city devastated in ruins, and he thought that he knew the answer to it. Then, on the benches of this great place, had monuments all over the place, he saw this old guy. He was up in age, and he says, "Old man, can I help you?" And the man says, "No, my life is gone. It's been gone for a long time." And he had uh, two things in his hands. And he says, "Well, did those bad people do this?" And he said, "No, they were here. They started to, but it wasn't worth their time. They just left. This was done a long time ago." And he says, "Yeah, the song lost its meaning." And the young guy, he says, "Well, the devastation is awful." And he says, "Well, most of this was done before they got here. We did it to ourselves, not them to us." And he starts to play, and then all of a sudden you hear music. And the young man, because he had studied, I guess, he knew what the music was. And he asked him, "Wasn't this a very solemn piece at one time?" He said, "Yes, at one time this had meaning. It referred to the guy," and he pointed to the half broken down place across the street from where he was sitting, "who lived there." And then he pointed to the big monument that didn't have a top and said, "And the people who worked there were at one time revered." And he said, "This was known as Hail to the Chief. But the chief was bad, and the people who worked there were bad. And one day everything just ended." And the young man says, "That sounds familiar. This is the empire that used to be here, called the United States." He says, "I don't know about empire, but yes, it was the United States. At one time it was supposed to be good, but that was before my time. My parents tell me it was, and their parents told them it was, and their parents before them. But somewhere along the line, the meaning of this song and the meaning of everything just went downhill." Then he's got another, and I said, "What's that other thing?" He says, "Well, this is a book." And the young man knew what it was because he had studied them, and he said, "Oh, is that a special book?" And he says, "Yeah, it keeps stories of our old forefathers." And he said, "And I was reading a story of this man sitting in an oasis, and this other man like you coming and asking him questions the same way you are me. And the old man told him that, yes, all the ruins that are here, and people still sing the songs, but they've lost their meaning. They don't know what it is. And the young man says, do you remember what the book was about? And he says, oh, I can tell you right now. The guy that was asking the questions was a certain guy from an old state of ours, long time ago, called Greece. And according to the book, his name was Herodotus. There's no name for the other guy, but he was from a country called Egypt, who had long gone declined when he got there. And that's what he told them, that the song was still playing, but nobody knew the meaning. So it looks like we've come full circle, hasn't it? The young man says, well, sir, I wish I could help you, but I have directives of not to interfere in your affairs. It was a shame, though, if you guys would have shown some sort of unity. We would have been there in aid for you, but you didn't show any unity. And he says, yes, it's the full shame of my people. They've done that time after time, and it's like history repeats itself. This book is proof enough of that, and there's been a long times between now and then that it happened too. It's a shame. But if you find any young people of ours, and you have in your heart to save them, take them to some place nice, will you? Well, the young man left. He went back to his ship, and he was going back home to do his report. But the words of the old man stuck to him. And it stuck to me when I was still that young man there, and I'll still be that young man when I leave here. But you see, Americans, the story of Herodotus and the story of you are going to come back to the same full circle. The question is, what are you going to do about it? This is your favorite alien in Bubba, and now you know the rest of the story.